All right, welcome everybody. It's 12:11 on Sunday, 10/25/2020. And we're talking to you from occupied California in this Sunday's edition of the Calexit conferences. Hello and welcome to our panel. Hi, panel. Okay. Before we begin, on the agenda, we'll start with a little housekeeping. I think it might please everybody to know that the initiatives are complete and printed, and are waiting at the printer for me to come pick them up, like Monday morning, Tuesday, as soon as of course the check clears. Beyond that, I'd like to take a moment out because I've noticed there's been a little concern. I'd like to do a bit of screen share. Give me one sec here. Let's see, where is, okay, where is it? Of course it is not readily available. Give me one moment. I have something to show everybody so that everybody will know where we're at. Let's see, it is. Good. Thank you for bearing with me.
Steady, wait for it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to introduce you all to the Independent California website, which will be launching this week. The buttons are working and basically we are now uploading content. This is the base format, and Adrian and I are furiously working to get it all set up. The hashtag across the top will be changing from "For a Better State" to hashtag Calexit in action. So I thought everybody would be interested in knowing that it's more than just breathing hard, it's actually coming.
Yay.
Good. I'm going to stop that share now for the moment. I'm going to say a word about, I'm going to take a moment out to say a word about the CIM site. At present, I have basically shelved the CIM site until after the election. And the reason I'm doing this is because if we look at the original Unity message and the original Unity idea of CIM, until I have everybody on board in the other organizations, putting that up prematurely will cause more problems than it will solve. So, at the moment, I can say pretty straightforward that the Independent California site is much further down the road than that site is. So I'm going to be focusing on that rather than bringing the CIM site up. I want to revisit it with the leaders of the organizations, not just yes, Cal, IC, CFC, etc. But of course, Hannah has content that she wants to see go up there, and so does everybody else. And honestly, in this election season, we simply trying to coordinate all of that together in the next couple of weeks is not going to be possible. Quite frankly, we're all hopefully going to be way too busy. That being said, chapters are still going up, and I'll turn it over to Shankar if he's ready to discuss what's going on. Shankar, do I need to unmute you?
Sir, how is everybody's Sunday? We're almost there to the dreaded day of who knows what the hell's going to happen in the United States. So
Speak up.
Here, let me fix that. Hold on, wait me 1 second here. How's that? Can you hear me? Is that better?
Yeah,
Is that better?
it's scratchy, but you're louder.
Oh shit! Here, let me turn off my amp, bro. All right, how's that?
Perfect.
Better.
Okay. So, see, you guys all saw the website. It's still under construction. So, I think what I'm going to start doing is adding the chapters onto onto the Facebook, and as they come along, I'm just going to make the page for each chapter for them, and that's how I'll keep track of them. The petitions, if you guys want petitions, all you chapter heads, that's going to come out of my pocket because you guys can't sign up to be members yet. So I will send you petitions, but I can't send you shirts or anything like that until that site comes up and you guys become members from on our website. So what you got to do is go up to that website that Hal just had up. The member page should be up pretty soon. Hal said it'd be the landing page and the member page that are going to go up. Just click on that link, find a package that you like, and become a member. And once you are, you just send me an email that you are. I will confirm it, and then I'm supposed to send you the shirt, a nice kit with everything in it. I will send that as soon as that page comes up. But for now, I'm going to get a Facebook page up. So just email me or call me like you have been already, and I will set you up with the Facebook page and some petitions. I'll mail them on out to you, and yeah, that's about it. I mean, November 3rd is, when is that? 2 weeks? A week and a half?
Yeah.
Following Tuesday.
It's Tuesday?
Next Tuesday.
All right. Fuck. So it's like the end of the world is on Tuesday. Let's just all get ready for that there, I guess. Actually, we won't know the results of that election until, what, a week later?
Or 2 months later, possibly.
3 weeks later? So we actually have some time then. It's not like previous elections where it was like you wake up Wednesday morning and you know who's president, right? So perhaps we may have a little bit of time. Thank God for COVID. God bless COVID. That's all I got.
Hey, thank you, Shankar. According to my notes on the agenda, we will be moving on to Darin Brown, who has something to address the panel.
Darin, you're on. Do you want us to watch the video or do you want to talk?
Yeah, let me put the video on first. And then I have just probably a few minutes afterwards, not too long. I have to go about 12:45 or 12:40. So I have it right here in just a minute. I introduced myself in the video, so I'll just get to it.
All right, let me allow. Do I need to allow?
You would allow me to
share?
screen share, yeah.
If you want, there's also the link in chat if anybody has any problems watching it. Darin Brown's going to talk about a new form of currency for a few minutes from 12:20 to 12:40. And then we have Governor candidate Nickolas Wildstar at 12:40. Then Felix, then
all right, it should be able to share at this point.
Okay, yep, I can. All right, let me know if the sound is okay when I start it. Whoops, I don't know. How do I get full screen?
we can see you. The sound's off.
Okay. You're right. I need to do the, just a minute. I actually run Zoom meetings in my class, so I should have this down more. Let's see. So.
Give us 1 minute, everyone.
All right.
Roughly while Darin's working on that, he's talking about a new currency for the form of California. I know people have different opinions on that, but as I told Darin, Calexit movement belongs to you. Darin was involved online and he wanted to get involved. And I said, hey, these conferences are available to anybody who believes California could be a nation. And so Darin said, great, I do, and I want to present something. So Darin, should we just tell people to click the link in the chat and watch the video?
Yeah, that's,
okay.
Yeah, I'm just, if the sound's not
It's
coming
fine.
over.
It's
then...
fine. So if everybody can go to chat, I'm also going to repost it right now in the chat room. If you could pull open that video and watch it on your computer for a few minutes, you may need to turn down your volume. So I just reposted in the chat. We're going to take a few minutes, everybody. Yes, this conference will still be open, but please click the video and watch the video, and then we'll take questions from Darin.
It's about 12 minutes.
Hi, everyone. I want to thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk to you today. I'm going to talk a little bit about currency, money, and funding.
Somebody hit mute. Somebody please hit their mute. Everybody mute, please.
I should introduce myself. My name is Darin Brown. I'm a native Californian. Lived here most of my life, except for...
Are you serious?
Maybe we could take an oral report. Oh, yeah, that's okay. Hmm. Hmm. Maybe. Okay. Nothing. What? Anyone talking? No.
Okay, the video is over. Video should be roughly over for everybody. Okay.
Is everyone good? Excellent.
Everyone good? Everyone got most of it? Okay, let's, for the remaining couple minutes, questions to Darin. Or Darin, do you want to add a comment?
Yeah, I'll add a couple things. I apologize about the Zoom issues that everybody had to do that.
Oh, it's fine.
No,
It's fine. Just keep going.
So I noticed, Sean, I looked up your podcast while everyone was watching. I noticed you've actually had Steve Grumbine on your podcast. And the con. So if everyone wants to see a really in-depth examination of the failure of the federal government, it's the con. It's unbelievable.
Oh, right. Good movie.
Yeah. So just a little plug there. So just some general things. These are, MMT is not a policy-based approach. It's more of a descriptive way of understanding how things work. And so the purpose of this is really, I think, so that we're, as I said in the video, so you're asking the right questions. I think, a lot of people have a sense of money as like it's a physical object, it's a medium of exchange, you transact in it. But from the MMT lens, money is inherently a creature of the state. It's a way of mobilizing resources. So, for instance, I watched there was a call you were on with a libertarian from New Hampshire a couple of days ago. So I watched that. And Shankar brought up a really good point. He said, if we withhold our federal tax dollars, that's very threatening to them. Now that's absolutely true, but not for the reason that most people think. The reason that withholding your federal tax dollars is threatening is not because they need the money. It's not because, they're not going to have enough money to pay for things. The reason it's threatening is because they lose control. When you do that, they're going to have less control over our resources, our labor, our capital, our resources. And that's really what the taxation about. The purpose of the taxation is not to get the money. They put the money out there. The purpose of the taxation is so that we need the money, so that they can spend into the economy and get things from us. So if we say, we're not going to pay taxes back to you, all of a sudden, we don't need the US dollar. And so if they say, we want to hire some, the government contractor wants to go in and hire somebody, they want to pay companies to do this, do that. They say, why should we do that? We don't need your money. They lose control. That's the point of the taxation. And that's really why getting off the US dollar, if you want to become sovereign, that's why it's really a necessary and almost revolutionary step, I think. If that makes sense. It's a really new way of thinking about budgeting and currency. Yeah.
Thank you. Darin, I liked your video, man. It was very, you made it very simple for anybody to understand, man. That was well put together. I just have a question for you. So what would you like to see happen next as far as a currency? Like what would you like to see happen? Would you like to see a California currency actually happen?
Right. Yeah, so eventually it would be a new currency for California. Now, again, I said I'm not an economist and I'm not an MMT expert. I'm probably like a couple rungs down from Steve, maybe or so. But so the details about the transition, about how you would actually go, this is something like Yanis Varoufakis was talking about with Greece when he had plans about getting off the euro to go into the drachma. And so the details of that transition, I don't think I would claim to be an expert on how that would happen, but eventually in time, I think it would be, you have your own currency. And the purpose of that is you get to set your priorities.
Sure.
Currency is an expression of your values. Budgeting is an expression of your values. We have different values. What's the values of the federal government when they do their budgeting?
Love it.
Bombing brown people and, and going to the military. So we have different priorities. So when we have our own currency, we can say, we're going to express different public purpose. We want to spend for universal health care. We want to spend for higher education, all those things. And
So-
you have the ability to do that, and you have fiscal space because you're a currency issuer, and you don't necessarily have to worry about balancing the budget. You can deficit spend.
So if California did have its own currency, this would be beneficial to the U.S., correct? It wouldn't be a hindrance for them, right? It wouldn't be, say.
No, I mean, there's a lot of there's a lot of ramifications to it. The main thing I'm thinking is that it just is. It's better for us. It would be better for us and our priorities, what we think is important.
Because currently we're on the U.S. federal dollar, and if we go to California, I mean, that money eventually would make its way back to, that currency would make its way back to the U.S., but then we'd have to be trading with them, and that's just...
Right, well, it would be like,
yes,
it would be like Canada. You know, Canada
Right.
has a Canadian dollar. Mexico has,
Right.
it's just a different, you just have your own currency then. I got
So
about, sorry, I got
it's
about
not
2 minutes. I
beneficial
see,
or Go ahead, I'm sorry.
sorry, I
Let's
have
go
about
to
2 or 3
Professor
minutes, and I
Wil-
see the professor has a,
Professor Williams is next, and then I'd like to get a question in after Professor Williams from Sean Dustin.
All right, go ahead. I won't hog him. Oh, actually, one more thing I just want to say, Darin, before you go, I know you're leaving in a couple minutes. I just want to get your information. I want to put you in touch with IC Institute up north in San Jose to discuss perhaps how we can move this forward. They're more like you than like me or Hal, really. We're really street people, and they're the brains of the they have their special skills that we utilize as well. So if you don't mind, if I can get your information from Marcus, or if that's okay,
Yeah, sure.
or vice versa.
no problem.
Sure.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, may I speak? One of the questions that has been raised, and let me just say that I find this idea very attractive, but I don't know if it really works, especially in the question of deficit spending. So 2 questions. One is, should we be using a complaint? One of our complaints against the U.S. government is that they are so hopelessly in debt. And secondly, if there are negotiations regarding independence, some have suggested that one way to do this would be to negotiate so that, say, for example, California would agree to take on a certain amount of federal U.S. debt as part of the negotiations to persuade them
Yeah,
to give in.
that's a really big question, and so
Hey, I see you, brother. Give me a few minutes. We're a few minutes behind, and
So it's really hard to give a short answer to that, but the one thing I would say is that the national debt is not really what most people think it is. The federal government doesn't really owe money to anybody in the sense that you and I owe a debt to somebody like we owe our credit card. When they say there's a debt, that just means it's in a savings account at the Fed. It's in a savings account instead of a reserve account. So they could pay off the debt tomorrow by just saying they're just going to transfer the balance into the reserves accounts. So again, so you can see it's when you say that the debt itself per se, the national debt, is not really an issue. The problem is, what the debt has been spent on and where the deficit spending is going. Deficit spending for a currency issuer by itself is not per se a problem. In fact, generally they should be deficit spending because they want to be spending into the whole point is to spend into the economy to do public purpose. So
I'm sorry.
It's not really an issue.
I'm sorry,
Yeah,
guys.
I'm about at my time too.
Well, it's just what I'd like to do is Nickolas Wildstar is here. He has to go in a few minutes. I'd like to just let him speak, and then Darin, Professor, and Sean, I see you. We'll come right back. I only have Nickolas Wildstar for a few minutes, so Hal, with your permission,
Of course.
I'd like to let Nickolas Wildstar talk for a few minutes about AB 392. Professor Williams, Darin, and Sean, we will come back. I just got to fit Nickolas in right now. So,
Actually,
Hal, with your permission, is it
I
okay
have
if
to-
we have
I have to
Nickolas
go.
speak?
He's got to go too, bro.
Thank you,
Okay.
Darin.
That's not really fair for him, man. But whatever.
I'm sorry.
Okay.
I do have to go at 1:45. So thank you all for having me. And
Darin, I'll be in touch with you, my man.
Okay.
I think you're going to like it.
okay,
I will
thank
get
you.
Darin's information to everybody,
Thank you, Darin.
All right.
and we'll go from there. Okay,
All right, bye-bye.
Governor candidate Nickolas Wildstar, are you there, sir?
I am. Hello.
Hello.
Are you able to hear me?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
All right,
Would you,
great.
I know you have to go at 1. Could you talk to us for a few minutes, sir, that you have about the AB 392 reform and why you think it's important?
Absolutely. I certainly think it's important at this time. Well, first and foremost, thank you for speaking with me and having me on to be heard by everyone involved. I think the Calexit, Yes California movement could be very instrumental in bringing about the change by following through on the demands of we the people of California. And one of those great demands right now is criminal justice reform. Not only from the Black community, I am a Black man, and but I have also spoken with people that are Hispanic, people that are white, that are wanting this change as well. I used to live in Fullerton, where Kelly Thomas was killed by Fullerton police. I also live near Anaheim, where I'm pretty sure you guys know about Anaheim and what they've done to the Hispanic population there as well. Not to mention, I currently live in Fresno, where Isaiah Murrieta Golding, a 17-year-old, was shot and killed in the back by Fresno police officer. He was shot twice in the back while he was running away from a police officer. And as I said, this is a concern that's really at the forefront right now in our country as far as a demand that we feel like need to be addressed from our public servants. So I, as a candidate, am offering to promote the AB 392 initiative proposal by Yes California to reintroduce that in its original form, so we actually can have some accountability here in the state. But as governor, I will definitely be doing all that I can in my authority to make sure that that's remedied quickly. There will be no hesitating on making sure that anyone that does abuse their authority will be held accountable and will be prosecuted just as anyone else would. I will be removing qualified immunity completely. I will also be removing the Police Bill of Rights. That's an extra layer of protection for law enforcement personnel, as well as judicial immunity, which is a layer of protection for judges. So these are my proposals. And as I said before, right now, I feel as if we were to come together to speak on the forefront about criminal justice reform and us working together to make this demand either come true, or we will push to secede from the United States so we can make it happen ourselves. Because I'm also working with Stevante Clark, who is the brother of Stephon Clark. He was a 22-year-old Black man that was shot and killed in his grandparents' backyard in Sacramento, simply because he had a cell phone in his hand when police thought he had a gun. This was a national case that actually went to the Justice Department, the Department of Justice, and they did not prosecute the officers involved in that shooting. So at a federal level, they are dropping the ball as well, because they're refusing to prosecute these officers when they are found guilty, or anyone that's involved in that, like the sheriff at the time, who was discovered to have suppressed police reports and falsified documents. So there needs to be some heads rolling, and the grumble on the streets is growing, and it's becoming more angering, and the people are feeling frustrated. And that's why you're seeing the majority of people go out there in these Black Lives Matter protests being hostile, being, I guess, fervent in their push to make this reality come sooner than later. So that's what I feel like Calexit and Yes California could step up to the plate to say, hey, we're on your side. And we also want to make this come to fruition so all Californians in the state are safe. And if the government does not respond to what we're demanding, then we will, again, separate ourselves from the rest of the country so we can create our own laws, create our own judicial system that is responding to the public. I also heard someone speaking about money and the national debt. One of my proposals as a candidate is to create a resource-backed state-issued currency, which I feel like will remedy any debt for the state of California and also provide another opportunity to have a competing currency with the Federal Reserve note, which I feel like would create economic freedom for every person living in the state of California. I also am proposing to create a Bank of California that will be
Okay, Governor. I'm sorry, Governor. We have 10 minutes. So what we're going to do is Governor Wildstar will answer your questions, but he's going to do it really fast so we can fit in as many questions as possible. Shankar, I see you, but Dan goes first. Governor Wildstar, if I could ask you to give quick addresses so we can fit in as many questions as we have in the 8 minutes we have you left. First question for you, Governor Wildstar, is what is your stand on police unions and police funding? Very quickly, sir, then we'll go to another question.
I will be disbanding police unions, do whatever I can to dismantle that system. I'm not supportive of them at all. They don't support me. I haven't received any funding from them. I don't plan on receiving any contributions from them. If I were to receive any campaign donations, I believe it would be from individuals, not from the union itself. But I believe that we should definitely come up with a better law enforcement model, one that's supportive of community policing. So I would like to see a transition to that type of law enforcement versus the model that we have right now.
Okay, let me stop you there, Governor. I'm sorry, just trying to fit people in respectfully. Shankar Singam, you have a question for the governor candidate?
Yeah, a couple of things. So just real quick, Mr. Wildstar, the currency thing, the person that was on before you was discussing exactly just what you were saying. So that was kind of funny if you heard me chuckle. But
all right.
So look, just real quick, Mr. Wildstar, real quick. So the assembly bill, what did you need done on that? Were you just going to submit, do you need an initiative for that? Or how are you going to promote that? Or what was your plan with it? I was thinking an initiative, but is that what you were thinking, or what was?
Initiative for what?
For the assembly bill, for the laws that you're going to pass for the cop again.
How are we going to reinstate AB 392 text?
Correct.
We talked about an initiative, but I think, Governor, you were also talking about just raising awareness of this travesty of justice. Is that fair, sir?
Correct. At this time, because I'm still a candidate, that's all I'm able to do. It's just bring more attention to that. Our state legislators, which is mainly Democrat
Okay.
legislators, have failed to follow through
Sure.
on criminal justice reform. So what I've actually done is made a video that I have available on my YouTube channel, and I've been doing my best to promote it. But, you know, since I don't have the support of Black Lives Matter, the foundation, it's up to individuals to start circulating that and make it
So, Mr. Wildstar, real quick, look. So check it out. I've seen the video. I remember you from last time. So, just to let you know, we are planning an event in Bakersfield, California. Bakersfield Police Department is rated the #1 most violent police force in the country. They have per capita the most police killings in the country, and we're working. Right now we're working with BLM Bakersfield for an event out there to actually go viral, for an event to go viral right there. We're doing all our research right now on it. It's going to happen after the election, of course, probably in fact in January, or if not February, because of all the holidays and stuff, because we want the press to cover it. Now, if you want to be part of that, I would love to have you on board with that, and especially with some sort of a plan for this bill, for this assembly bill, to become law, because promoting it is one thing, but having a pathway to making it real is another thing. And I would like to see that worked out as well. So if we can have all that worked out by the time we do this in Bakersfield, guess, are you ready for that, Mr. Wildstar? I mean, we're dealing with the police here. It's the cops, the worst ones. So, I mean, if you're ready and you're out there with us, oh my God, that would be huge.
I would love to. I haven't received many invitations such as the one that you're proposing, but I'd be more than happy to accept. And as far as following through on making sure that the initiative is pushed through legislation, that's why I'm relying upon you guys, because you're more knowledgeable about that area than I am. I'm trusting on you to pretty much do.
Sure.
But you have me behind you. Were I to be elected, I would be amending the existing Stevante Clark law, AB 392, to add in the original text. So it would be.
Go ahead.
Sir?
Sure. I'm very familiar. Everybody else, go ahead and explain. I'm sorry.
Shankar, I just want to go to Sean Dustin.
One more thing. That's why I was like, just one more thing. I'm sorry.
3 minutes, Shankar. You're
all right, man. All right, go ahead.
I'm sorry. Governor Wildstar, you have a question from Nowhere to Go But Up podcast with Sean Dustin. Sean Dustin is a podcaster out of San Francisco on prison reform. Sean Dustin, what is your question for Nickolas Wildstar on the AB 392 reform?
It's cannabis related, and I think it's I'm not sure if the term is restorative justice or not, but the fact that we have all these people that are still in prison for cannabis while it's legal in our state, recreationally and medically, and part of the problem is, as an ex-offender myself, I'm locked out of this industry. I can't get into it and start a business. You know what I mean? Because I'm an ex-offender. Is that, how would you deal with that and change that if you were elected?
Absolutely. Well, I am all for free market, so I don't support the current, laws that exist that allow us to do what we want to do with our own bodies. So if anything, I will be, as I said, amending the current laws that exist to allow it to be more supportive of a free market system. I definitely believe that after you've served your time as an offender, if that's what you want to call it, that your natural rights should be restored. So you would definitely still have the opportunity, or be given that opportunity again, for you to obtain a license if you want. It will be optional under my administration. It will be voluntary. There will be no mandates. So as far as, reforming the marijuana industry altogether, it will be completely reformed to where it would be more resemblant of one that's allowing the individual to do as they choose voluntarily.
Okay, I'm
as
sorry,
far as
everybody.
Those that are in jail right now for a nonviolent crime, they'll be reviewed. Their cases will be reviewed, and if they are deemed not a threat, they will be released immediately.
I'm sorry, Governor. I know you have to go at 1. Everybody, I typed in Governor Wildstar's email in the chat. That's wildstar@governorwildstar.com. Everybody's free to contact him. He's looking for volunteers, if you like anything that you heard, and he's looking for volunteers on the AB 392 reform. Governor, I know you have to go. Thank you for coming out. I really appreciate it. Sorry for everybody.
My pleasure indeed.
Okay.
No, thank you for all of the questions and as well as the conversation. Take care until next time.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Hal?
Thank you to the candidate. Next up on the agenda is Felix Martinez, or Felix Martin. Felix, are you there?
Okay. Hal, do you want to do?
What's up, Marcus?
Do you want to do 5 more minutes of questions on the currency? There were 2 questions we didn't get to.
We have an opening in the agenda. Why don't we can field more
Okay.
questions?
We're going to do a few questions on the currency, and then we're going to go right back to the agenda. So I forget who, 2 people had questions on the currency. Sorry, a little bit. Who had a question on the currency? Raise your hand.
Well, I was
Okay, Matt Owens, Professor Williams. Okay, Matt Owens, then Professor Williams, then Hannah. Please keep it brief. The speaker isn't here, and we're going to move on the agenda, but please log in your questions and the issues you had. Matt Owens. You have to unmute yourself, Matt.
Yeah.
There you go. Matt Owens.
On the currency, I
Yes.
know that California has something that the EU does not, and that is we have a treasury. So we have a means to tax. They don't. They're totally dependent on the member states to generate revenue through taxation. So whatever the ECB spends is totally comes from the member states. They do not have a treasury. However, they have something that we don't, and that is the central bank, which means they can borrow and lend. And those are the 2 methods that you have to take money, put it in circulation and take it out of circulation. You put it into circulation through spending it or through lending it. You take it out of circulation through taxing it away or borrowing it away. So you have fiscal and monetary policy. In order to carry out a fiscal policy, you've got to have a treasury of some sort. California's got that. The EU does not. In order to have a monetary policy, you've got to have a central bank. The EU has that. California does not. So once we have both a central bank and a treasury, we have all the tools we need to float a currency, basically, to make sure that we have as much money taken out of circulation as is put into circulation, so as to avoid any inflationary or deflationary pressures. So we'll have more than the EU's got. We'll have a complete set of tools with which to float the currency and carry out fiscal and monetary policy once we have our own public bank. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
A public bank, not what they got in the Federal Reserve, which isn't a public bank.
Okay. Next, Professor Williams, quickly, what's your question on currency, sir?
Yes, I was trying to get an answer from Darin, was that his name? And it's
Yes.
something that I don't completely understand, not being an economist, but I think it's something that we need to have in mind. We don't want to be caught in the situation that a lot of governments end up with, hyperinflation. And so how does this monetary theory account for that reality? Especially, I think we should be concerned about military spending and its inflationary emphases that have destroyed a lot of governments. And so my question would be, from a historical perspective, what do we do to avoid where many governments fail because they have overspent and then it results in inflation or hyperinflation?
Okay.
I like the theory very much, but how does it accommodate preventing inflation?
Okay. Hannah Miyamoto, last question. I'm sorry, then Dan. Quickly, Hannah, and then Dan, we have 4 more speakers left. Hannah Miyamoto, question on currency?
I thought I was off. Okay, mute. I have another question. I know, remember, I didn't see the video because I had technical problems. You guys rolled it off to me. So the question I have is, does this proposal encompass California becoming independent first? Or how do you deal with the restriction in Article 1, Section 10 of the United States Constitution against states coining money?
Well, you can't until you have independence.
Well, that was a question for the proposal.
Yeah. We're just taking questions right now. I'll make sure Darin watches this.
Oh, Darin's not online. Okay.
No.
I think.
Okay, next question.
Article 1, Section
Dan
10.
Costa. You have to unmute yourself, Dan. Daniel, do you have a question? You have to unmute yourself.
Yeah, it kind of follows up with what Hannah was saying. It's kind of putting the cart before the horse. How would you implement a new currency with the restrictions of federal government laws if we're not independent? And the gentleman, Darin, was saying, I'm 70, 80% for independence, but I don't see how it would be possible unless we do become independent. So that would be my question to him. That's what I wanted to say.
Okay. Thank you. I want to direct everyone's attention to the chat room. Sean Dustin, with his podcast, Nowhere to Go But Up, did an episode on the same idea. You can check that out from Sean in the chat. Okay, Hal, we've completed that segment. Oh, there's Felix. Felix, just in time.
Welcome back.
Oh, I've been here.
So Felix is 07. In answer to Hannah's question.
What's that?
In answer to Hannah's question, Felix Martin is 07. Felix, are you ready to present?
Yes, sir, I am.
All right.
All right. So if I can.
You can show a video or just talk about your idea, Felix, for about 10 minutes.
Sure, I prepared a presentation. So see if I can share. Can everybody see my screen?
Yes.
Okay, excellent. So I'd like to present to you guys the budding company. It's called Oasis Waters. So here we have the grand announcement that about a year ago, I was at the conference and I was given the opportunity to speak. Thank you, Marcus. And I went up and presented the patent pending ocean water distillator. And I'm happy to announce that roughly a year later, we have acquired the patent. And I'm now at liberty to fully express the functions and utility of this idea. And we're functioning currently under this new company. We're calling it Oasis Waters, right? So I'd like to start off by saying that the intentions are fundamentally based. The intentions of this invention, of this creation, and of this company are fundamentally based on the concept that as a doctor we function, which is primum non nocere, which translates to first do no harm, and that is the absolute. That is the absolute foundation of this project. Very well. So, without further ado, I'd like everybody to close your eyes and imagine the state of California as it is right now. We are a state that is dying, very much like a patient without functioning kidneys, which is in constant need of dialysis, which in simple terms is to filter and to nourish the human body, right? So I'd like everybody to see the next image, and that is the current state of California as we know it. The state, which I've already mentioned, is in drought perpetually by the very nature of our relationship with the United States. Now, we could get into that, but I really like to focus on the project at hand. So I like to compare this distillator to what is the nephron. The nephron is the functioning unit of the kidney, which is responsible for the filtration, reabsorption, secretion, excretion of the blood and urine of the body, right? And that is essentially what the distillator is, right? We will filtrate reabsorb, we will filtrate ocean water, reabsorb it into into California's ecosystem, and we will obviously have a byproduct, a waste byproduct, which we will secrete and excrete responsibly, because there are many applications to the byproducts that result from evaporation and then later condensing ocean water. Very well. So the invention, if we can liken it to the nephron, which is the functioning unit, what I'd like to propose is that we've formulated the kidney, so to speak, right? So this is the nephron. This is California's nephron. It's called distillator Mar, and the idea is that it functions based on solar power, right? Which will reflect off the surface onto the, I don't know if I can go back. See, spotlight, here we go. And this has a pointer, doesn't it? No, and everybody can see that, right?
Yeah.
Which will reflect from the surface onto the unit, which is essentially an oven with an inverted pyramid, which will catch and condense the evaporated water and will go into a collector system, along with a preheating mechanism that we will expose also to sunlight, and which is a copper tubing that will bring preheated water into the unit. So continue. So here's further illustration of just of the art concept. All right. And I believe these are pretty self-explanatory. We have the saltwater source on my left, on the left of the screen, which will be pushed into or put into the unit, which will evaporate and condensate at the pyramid, just like I said, and go into the collector system. And all meanwhile, we're using only the power of the sun. See, very well. So, like I said, if this is the single functioning unit, which would be the nephron, this would be the kidney. So we just multiply the units by, I don't know how many thousands, how many hundreds, and to multiply the output that we're able to do. So part of the exciting thing about this project is that California already has an existing irrigation system. We have a state-of-the-art aqueduct system that was built back in the 60s and we still use today, right? And the exciting thing about this project is that all we have to do is tap into the existing infrastructure to really provide for the necessities of the state of California, specifically the San Joaquin agricultural area and the urban LA metropolitan area as well, which traditionally is very needing of water. The idea is to use clean energy, 100% renewable, to pump water out of the ocean through a pipe that we will construct, or that we'll be constructing using the Santa Clarita dried riverbed, and take that all the way up. As here, can everybody see my mouse, my cursor? Yes. Okay, good. Yeah. That it will take it all the way past the aqueduct, and parallel to it, go back north into the Mojave Desert. This triangle right here that forms naturally in the state of California, using the power of the ocean, kinetic energy, and solar system. We have the technology, and all we have to do is apply it. Oasis Waters would be working in conjunction. We would partner with existing projects and concepts to produce the energy necessary to take all the water up to the Mojave Desert. And here's the illustration of the existing waterway or the existing water system in California. We have the California Aqueduct and the Los Angeles Aqueduct, right? So as the current California State Water Project functions today, it goes against the natural inclination or the natural slope of the California Valley, of the San Joaquin Valley, and takes water from the north, south to the Los Angeles area, right? So the way California exists is that water naturally flows from the south, from the bottom of the San Joaquin Valley, north to the Sacramento Delta. That only benefits us as a project, which we would not need to exert. We wouldn't need more energy to use, to send the already filtered water up to the San Joaquin Valley. We just have to turn off the pump system that is currently in place and allow the water to flow naturally through its course. So we would invert the flow of the California State Water Project, and we would use that to our advantage. And we could actually use those stations and create them into turbines and create, renewable energy based on the water flow. So here's the illustration again. The red line, or the red arrow, signifies the way that the water flows currently against the gradation of the mountain of California, and the blue arrow is how we would be, sending the water back down its natural course.
2 minutes, Felix. 2 minutes.
Very good. Almost done here. So to conclude, I'd like to present the objectives of Oasis Water as a company, as a project. It's to provide purified ocean water, eliminate California's dependency from well water, supply the demand for the water for the entire LA urban area, and help reconstruct and maintain California's ecosystem that's been destroyed or affected by the constant drought and fires that have been going on. And that's it. That's my presentation.
Thank you. Thank you. Felix, can you do me a favor? Can you type in the chat room your email?
Oh,
so
for
if
sure.
people would like to get a hold of you, to know about this, they can get a hold of you?
Absolutely, absolutely. So everybody can get a hold of me. I have 2 emails. I got Gmail.
Okay, Hal, we'll get back on it. Okay, one question from Dan's got a question, and then we got to get back on the agenda in a minute.
For sure. Go ahead.
Dan?
Is that okay, Marcus, if I ask a question? If it's not okay.
Yeah, just.
How you doing, Dan?
Hey, Felix. I remember when you came to my house and presented the presentation, actually a year ago, and I was really interested. And it's fascinating stuff that you've come up with. I've got just two short questions. The first is you showed. So it would be we would have these kind of massive things in the ocean, kind of like off the ocean, like oil rigs are right now. Is that the system?
Oh, if I can go back to the. So if I'm able to go back. Moment. Okay, here. So part of what's very fascinating for me is that this is right here where we can see the purple line. This is the Ventura area, Ventura Beach area. And just north of here, we have oil rigs. We have, we already have industrial projects there. We have offshore drilling. We have things that don't necessarily correlate with our California values, right? I'm pretty much against the exploitation of the oil rigs. I'm not about the fossil fuel industry. So, but that's part for this project. It lets us know that we're allowed to function in that area. And what you're referring to, Dan, I think is the clean energy, the way the kinetic the kinetic
Yes.
energy contraptions.
Yes.
Right? Yes. Those would be offshore, and the solar panels would be in the desert area, of course. And the entire filtration or distillation system would also be in the Mojave Desert. I don't know if that answers your question.
Great, great. And just the second part of it is, would this system be able to replace the whole current water system that we have? Or is it just meant for the south up to, not all the way up to Sacramento, since they get plenty of rain and stuff? Do you see this as just the south and maybe center of California replacing that whole system, or the whole California system?
Right. So California, water is traditionally a California problem. The way that cities have developed in the state of California have been around water. Naturally, that's how cities usually develop. But the reason pretty much why Sacramento is the state of the capital right now is because back when it became a state, it was the urban area that had most access to water. Right, and the Los Angeles area has only been able to develop probably within the last 50, 60 years, really, because of water, because of the state water project. So this contract, this has been a family project from the very beginning. So my family's project really is meant to eliminate the California's dependency on aqueducts, right, and provide water for the LA area. So in my previous presentation about a year ago, I showed an image of pretty much how water is distributed in California, and most of it, the majority of it, comes from the aqueduct systems in the San Joaquin Valley, right? So that's detrimental to the state in the sense that if I can make another medical analogy, it's like having dry skin. So when as a person, when our skin is dehydrated, it's a lot easier for it to crack, fracture, and in that very much like the skin, the tectonic or the seismic activity in California, because it's dry, we're prone to more seismic activity, famously the San Andreas Fault and the rest of the fault systems in California. So we're able to eliminate our dependency on subterranean water and allow the rainwater, the very little rainwater that we get throughout the year, to reestablish itself in the aqueduct system. That would be very, very advantageous for us. And we're able to supply that necessity or supply that need, filtrating ocean water. To answer your question more specifically, it's meant to provide agricultural water and to provide water to the urban area more specifically, because the north of the state is already able to supply its demand from rainwater. Yeah.
Oh, great.
Okay.
Thank you, Phil.
Right on.
I'm sorry, I don't mean to be a meanie. I just want to make sure everybody gets a chance to get in if they, ask for the agenda.
Thank you, Felix.
Congratulations, Felix.
Thank you.
Yes, congratulations on the patent. Very well done.
Thank you.
Aren't you newlywed, bro?
Yeah. So we just got married. We just got married back in June. So I'd like to present everybody my wife, Andrea. That's Mark.
Hola.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. All right, if we may, I'd like to move on to Professor Williams to discuss the Declaration of Independence.
This is an open discussion. It will go on for 20 minutes, and then we're going to go. So at 1:44, this ends, and we're going to go immediately to Hannah. And Matt, ready. Sorry you had to wait for it. I know. I see you, brother. I'm doing my best to fit you in. 20-minute discussion. It ends at 1:20, 1:44. Then we go to Hannah, and then Matt, we will get to you. Sorry, sir. So Professor Williams.
Hello, can you hear me now? Okay, I would like a sense from the group. How many people feel that what happens in this upcoming election is going to be crucial to what we do as a movement. I'd just like a sense of who feels that that is a crucial thing. Just quickly, raise your hands if you think it's crucial. Okay, I see a few hands. Okay, this is what I have been thinking for a while. And I see that there are different alternatives. We don't know what's going to happen. One alternative would be for Trump to win the election by the Electoral College. One would be for Trump to win the election solely by the Electoral College and not by the majority vote. Another alternative would be that Trump does not win the election by the Electoral College, but he still refuses to leave office. And that what I have seen, and I sent out a couple of emails to everybody about this, is that I think the Republicans are planning on legal challenges to try to prevent a Biden victory. Okay, and then another alternative is that Biden wins, but the Republicans keep control of the Senate. And another alternative is that Biden wins and there's a Democratic sweep and the Democrats have control of Congress. Now, my own opinion is that if Biden wins and the Democrats have control of Congress, that's going to make our effort for California independence very difficult. Not that I don't personally support independence in that event, but I think it's going to be much more difficult. However, I think we need to be prepared for one of these other alternatives to happen. And if that does happen, then I think we need to be prepared to move quickly and decisively as the leadership of the California independence movement, which I assume all of us support and want to occur. If that does happen, then and Trump refuses to leave office, then I think we need to be prepared with a Declaration of Independence. So I submitted a proposed draft declaration modeled explicitly on the 1776 Declaration of Independence by Thomas Jefferson, trying to follow as much as possible his approach and reasoning that I think would give our movement more justification and more support from more traditionalists who might see the parallels. However, I'm certainly open to other people's suggestions, and so some people have made suggestions to me, but I would like to have more. So is there anybody that would like to talk on this issue about that draft Declaration of Independence? Suggestions, please. I'm open.
I'm personally a huge fan of everything that John Adams was working on with the Declaration. Him being a lawyer who famously represented redcoat English soldiers in court and like won the case and everything just out of the name of justice, right? He really proved his impartiality and his worth. And then a lot of what he pushed for Jefferson and the rest of the founding fathers to add in was a lot of the legal mechanisms, the legal mechanisms of like how to determine winners of votes and the thing about, you know, a president should step down. I remember from my history classes that he was actually a very strong proponent of making it so that when a president's term ends, it's ended, even if he's reelected, that term officially ends before his next one begins. And pretty much what it seems like the only reason they didn't do that is because it might be confusing. There's like a minute where we don't have a president. And it seems like had they implemented that, there would be no worry about what if Trump loses and stays in power, because there would be a legal mechanism for it.
Well, Jason, these are good points. And I think something like this certainly needs to be included within any kind of proposed constitution that we make. But what we're talking about right now is the Declaration of Independence. And as you know, Jefferson.
Oh, that's right. Also, my apologies. I was thinking the Constitution.
And as you know, Jefferson was also a lawyer. And so I think their approach was to say, look, this is what we're presenting. This is why we want to secede from the British Empire, and this is our justification. So he listed, a bunch of specific things. And so that's what I would like to get people's input on about, are things that I included need to be revised, or are there other things that I forgot to include that need to be included? So that's what I'd like everybody's input on. And the constitutional questions, like you're talking about, absolutely need to be dealt with, but that's later on. I don't think we have to come up with a constitution before the election, but I do think that we need to be ready with a Declaration of Independence if one of these scenarios happens.
Yes.
Yeah, I really did like your thought about when you asked about the currency of whether or not this could be used as a listed grievance, America just running rampant with debt and having like seemingly no intention of ever fixing things. I would agree that that's an important grievance to add on there.
Okay, thank you. There's a book by a Yale professor of history named Paul Kennedy called When Empires Decline, How Empires Decline. And what he showed is that most empires through history collapse after they have spent so much money specifically on military things that their economy can't support it, and it just collapses on itself.
Yeah, I just want to say, Dr. Williams, that point, I really love that point that you made about empires, because everybody always says have different reasons why an empire declines and everything. But that explanation always made sense to me, that empires become too thin to protecting all their borders.
Right.
They can't manage it economically. And then also people revolt because they're being occupied at the same time. And so they can't manage protecting those territories. And that's what we've seen throughout history. And my second point was, I totally agree with you that we need to have a Declaration of Independence ready to go if things really get bad. And some people I've seen on the chats have suggested that it's too lengthy or a bit too lengthy. I kind of disagree with that. If anything, there's probably things to add to it. But what you've put there are basic points that I think need to be included. But if anything, I would read it again and see where there's probably a few things missing from it. So I would expand on it and not take away from it. That's my opinion.
Okay, thank you. I think, what I just said about what the research shows about the decline of government is certainly more accurate than what that guy last week, where he was, governments collapse because the morality of the people declines and all this bullshit. So I think we should go with what the historical evidence says. So thank you, Dan. Who else? Shankar?
Yeah. So just, I think it's, I think what you have down, the beginning part of it would be perfect for it. I think it's too long for the general public. I think this should be like a preamble to the Declaration of the actual Declaration of Independence, and then refer back to this document here that you have, only because it's too long. And look, you need people to endorse it and sign it. So you're talking about like mayors and various senators and Congress people. You have to get their signatures as well. So they'll want to see, of course, the longer version of it. But the first one to see this quick little summary, this quick little thing that everybody can digest and understand. Every single person can. So that's what I think. It just needs to be a little bit shorter, the actual declaration, and then refer back to some sort of preamble, which is the body of the current text that you have right now. Just so you have the meat and potatoes there as well. But if there's like some sort of a shorter version for everyday Joes, everyday people, the politicians, when they read it, they're going to read that. Then they're going to want to know, why are you saying this? You can go back to why you're saying it, which is what you have right now. But just in the initial presentation, I just think it needs to be a little bit shorter or condensed, I think. That's all.
Okay. Well, what about if I just make kind of a short summary and then refer people to the longer version?
Yeah, right. Exactly. And in that summary, whenever you make a statement, you can just put in parentheses like the reference to this document, or this, where you wrote it down. That's what I would think.
Okay, thank you. I like that idea.
And of course, have a plan to get signatures from elected officials. That's all. You need a plan, someone to sign it, to sign the declaration.
Okay, do we need it signed when we propose it, or like next week?
Absolutely. Absolutely. It should be endorsed by mayors or council people. I mean, people of elected positions representing the people of California should endorse it.
Okay, I think that's a great idea, but we're 1 week away from the election. How's it going to happen in 1 week?
So the election isn't going to be decided in one day. We have time for this, so it's okay.
But could we then put it out, say like on the website, and then ask for people who want to sign it? We could put it up on the website, and then you contact elected officials and tell them to go check it out to see if they will endorse it. If the movement's strong, I mean, it doesn't help if you and me sign it, Professor. I mean, we're not anybody. We're not elected. Okay.
Right. That's kind of the point that I've been making. My advice to you is number one, Walters, I think you should. It's fine to write a litany of grievances, but I think if there were an actual Declaration of Independence, it should be written first to call for provisional independence, and it should refer to order breaking down inside the United States of America, and there is a country to be part of any longer.
Okay.
That would be the contingency I think most reasonable to plan for. And then, of course, under those circumstances, you could get politicians to say, yeah, that's true, and here we go.
Okay.
Just those 2 points. I think it's fine to have a litany, but I think let's just say it's the devil's playground. Idle hands being the devil's playground. It's not fruitful to be trying to craft language. When the time comes, there'll be some very bright people to do it. But if you want to do a draft, I think the draft should be in the contents of provisional independence. Provisional, I think it just sounds a whole lot better. It doesn't, and it sounds more like, yeah, we had to do this because we had no other choice.
So Hannah has a point right there. Remember now, a Declaration of Independence, when it was first, that was a call to war. So I mean, mind what we're putting out here. So it might be even beneficial to have some assets of independence first before actually declaring it. I don't know any of this. Nobody knows any of this stuff, Professor. I mean, there's no book or handbook on this, how to do this. So,
okay, but when they wrote the Declaration of Independence, they didn't say it was provisional. They said, we're doing it.
I know that.
But go ahead, Hannah.
They didn't have the problem of order breaking down inside the United States or inside the British colonies of the United States. In fact, the thing was the Great British Army was there trying to establish order. So it's a different situation, and I wouldn't use the 1776 as a model. I think that I think the only reasonable contingency to plan for is one in which order breaks down inside the United States of America. And I think in that circumstance, people will be looking for an alternative.
We're going to be at that.
Yes, I will tell you that. It's just when the time dramatic occurs, then that's already dramatic.
Hannah, I would disagree with you. I think order was breaking down in the United States. At least that's how the Americans were portraying it for the whole independence movement to even start. I think that was the crux of their reasoning behind it. And the only other thing, Doug, the only other thing would be, look, man, when they did that, it was war, dude. I don't know if you want to call it Declaration of Independence. That's all I'm saying. I don't want to.
Actually, okay, 2 points I think you might want to know. Number one was the Declaration of Independence was, of course, created by governments that were already in existence, and they had their delegates in Philadelphia, and they agreed to that. Number two, I'd like to remind you that the United States of America had actually been maintaining a diplomacy going on secretly since at least I think 1775. So for several months, for most of a year before the Declaration of Independence occurred, the United States of America had already been engaging in diplomacy with particularly France and Spain and their governments. So it was a very different situation, and so I think that we're talking about a very different situation, more akin to maybe Ireland, perhaps.
What
order
what diplomacy with France? What would they have going on with France?
You don't know about the history then.
I know the French were secretly plotting with us.
Right, because America
secretly.
First thing, remember that the United States of America officially began before the states became independent. The United States of America historically begins with the First Continental Congress in 1773. Maybe the Second Continental Congress, 1773. Yeah. So, anyways,
wasn't recognized by the king or any other nations, though.
No, Silas. No, that's it. The 13 colonies sent their delegates to a central place, and they called themselves a Continental Congress. But that is the actual origin of the United States of America as a independent country. And then Silas Deane, I believe, was the very first. You never heard of him, but he was the very first man sent over by the Continental Congress to Europe to engage in what we would now call diplomacy.
So Hannah, just FYI, there was riots on the streets for months and years before the Declaration of Independence. Just FYI.
I know that. But there was the Boston Massacre.
There's riots on the streets right now. That's all.
But it's just not a comparison situation. Provisional independence is, I think, the reasonable thing to call for. And this, my advice to Walter is to write to that sense. If I were dissertation advisor, that's what I'd say.
Okay, thank you. Hannah, could you submit some language on that to me?
No, I won't. I think it's just provisional independence.
You're breaking up. I can't hear you now.
Order's broken down, and particularly in this. In other words, the battleground states have become battlegrounds.
Okay, you're breaking up. I couldn't hear all of what you said. So I do want to try to incorporate these basic ideas, but also, and you're right. I mean, we don't have a Continental Congress in place, and that needs to be considered. So what do other people think?
We could.
Yeah, but not in a week.
We are officially running out of time on this one.
Okay.
We may take up the conversation at the end in casual discussion, but we do need to move along. Hannah, if you're ready to present, I'd like to turn the floor over to you.
Thank you very much. Actually, very brief, guys.
Yeah, 5 minutes.
This will be 5 minutes. And then the word I want to get on mind is Canadian nationalism. I've been doing some research. Won't go into all so I just sort of stumbled into the last couple of days. But I'm going to send you a link on Canadian, it's called Left-Wing Nationalism in Canada. That's what it's basically about. And it strikes me, I'm so sorry I haven't got this is it. This is what I'm saying. It strikes me that how Canada could develop a national identity, I suggest to you to start looking very closely at Canada. Maybe the most important aspect is, yeah, this is the title, Canada's Weird Left-Wing Anti-American Nationalism. It's really interesting idea. First thing, it turns out that the most, the single element of Canada that Canadians actually will say is what makes them proud of being Canadian, you'll never guess. It's their healthcare system. That goes above their flag, their government, their army, everything. It's their healthcare system. Why? Because they compare themselves to the USA, and in their mind, the USA healthcare system doesn't come close. I thought that's very, very interesting. And of course, it all really goes all the way back to the fact that when the United States of America entered the war in Vietnam, Canada refused to enter that conflict. And ever since then, they've had this attitude, of being not America, and they really draw lines. And in other words, the difference here is, think about it. When we say nationalism, we tend to think of, it means the world in some respect, right? It's my country is better than your country, and I'm going to invade your country. That's right-wing nationalism. This is what, and that means we're going to stay here. We're going to enjoy our what we like, our programs, and they're going to make us feel very proud of our country. And I just think to yourself that if you wanted to form, the other thing I want to remind you is we discuss a lot. I think we've been tumbling over this question about, well, what about the conservatives? What are conservative Californians supposed to be, right? Where do they fit in? We've been banging this around. If you use Canada's experience, I think the answer is there's American conservatism, I mean red hot. And then here's us California liberals being down here somewhere, and in the middle somewhere, and here where the California conservative can be. In other words, if your name is Arnold Schwarzenegger, you could probably be a California conservative, because because the interesting thing, I'm going to shut up now in a minute, but the interesting thing is I've been doing some research about this guy named Aaron O'Toole, who you've never heard of. He's the new leader of the Progressive Conservative Party in Canada. But if you actually look at what he wants to do, he sounds like maybe Joe Manchin in West Virginia, the Democratic Senator in West Virginia. He's a conservative Democrat, and he leads the Conservatives of Canada. So I'm just saying that might be what it is in terms of immigration. Canadians are proud of the fact they think they invite a lot of immigrants to come to their country. That's actually not even true, but they like to think of that, and they like to compare themselves against the USA. They've been comparing them earlier, but that's really what Canadian identity is, and it strikes me that when we talk about California nationalism, that's where we really be looking at. I think this is a real good guide. I'm going to do research into this. It's even a field, called Canadian Studies. But I think that left-wing Canadian nationalism, I think, is a real model for what we're trying to achieve here. Any questions? Marcus.
Oh, no, just one minute. That's all.
That's all I got to say. I'm just saying, there's the YouTube. Please check it out. It's pretty interesting. It's only it's actually 19 minutes, but the first 10 minutes or so will give you the picture of what he's talking about. And this, by the way, is a guy who thinks he's actually a conservative Canadian, but he doesn't oppose gay rights. He's not anti-abortion. He's not trying to make everybody a Christian follow his church, and on and on and on. There's like like some conservative he is, right? He certainly doesn't want to invade all these foreign countries in the Middle East. And yet he's a conservative Canadian. Have you thought about it? Yeah, Daniel.
Yeah, Hannah, I agree with you totally on that. I have really good friends in Toronto, Canada, and they're very proud to say that they're not American. As a matter of fact, when they travel, they have their flags, they have this, and they love to make the total opposite view of America. We have a better health system. We don't go to war. We, we have immigration. We're more social than them, and so they're very proud of being opposite to Americans. And although they do love America and everything, they really love to make that difference that we're not American, we speak like them and stuff, but no, we're Canadians, and they're very proud of that. And that's true that for California, we do need to make that distinction that we are, just like Canada, the opposite of America. We want healthcare, we don't want to go to war, all those things, and so there's a huge parallel with that, and I agree with you on that.
Felix, and then we're going to go to Matt Reddy. Matt's been very patient waiting for us. Felix, and then we'll go to Matt Reddy.
Can I just real quick expound upon that just while it's still relevant?
Sure.
Jason, you have the floor.
So the German American Heritage Foundation and Museum, based in Washington, D.C., October 6th is German American Heritage Day. I know this, being that it's pertinent to me. Former Governor Jerry Brown, who we love so much with our movement for his many, many references to nation states. He is the honored German American of the Year. He will be at the gala in Sacramento, I believe March or April sometime. I made it clear through my speakings with the director of the museum, this exact point that you make of, I myself wonder if maybe former Governor Brown might not feel similar in being German Californian rather than German American. ... Nothing against America, just that we have a different feel here in the Golden Land.
I just want to say one thing is that
I think it is a good point.
When I watched this video, it really made me realize that, don't forget, Canadians have been feeling superior to the USA for over 200 years. They've never attacked America. And I think there's the answer. It comes to this question of, if you're going to be independent, aren't you going to then be in a war with Nevada or Oregon or Arizona or something? It's like, no, because Canada has been different from the USA. And, 200 years of peace.
Exactly. Point out the differences and that we are different without it making it a anti-America. This isn't an anti-American movement. This is a California independence movement.
Well, anti-American in the sense that we don't want to attack them. And, Canada is basically anti-American.
Okay, I'm sorry. We have 3 more people on the agenda. I need to get to them. They've been waiting 2 hours.
Okay. I thought maybe Felix had something else to say.
And then
I
we
wasn't
need to get
here.
to Matt Reddy. No apologies. Felix, quickly, please.
No, well, I think we can further discuss this after everyone's gotten this go around. It was more of a comment, more of an observation, but I think we can follow up on that. So.
Okay. Let's go to, Hal, with your permission, I'd like to go to Matt Reddy. Matt, thanks for being patient. Matt, talk for about 5 minutes and allow some questions. Matt is a secession enthusiast from Washington, I believe. Is that right, Matt?
Yeah, I'm in Washington State. I'm an activist, and I'm actually an elected official. I'm a hospital commissioner for a public hospital district.
Hey.
But been really studying options for how to, fix how we use power in the world. And, the U.S. government is extremely broken. So I just wanted to I don't know how much you guys know about distributed autonomous organizations, or DAOs. They're built on the Ethereum blockchain. So, Bitcoin is the first big cryptocurrency that was created that no government could squash. That's basically the nature of a blockchain, is you can't destroy the information on the blockchain. That's why Bitcoin is successful. So a DAO is basically like a corporation. It's a way of organizing people using the blockchain as a transparent, uncensorable medium for humans to work together. So basically, like, it's the perfect thing to organize any movement, but it actually could be the way to structure a new state, a new government. You form the DAO, it exists on the blockchain. You decide what the rules are for your organization, and those are put into the code on the blockchain. So it's like your bylaws are written in code. Everyone can see them. You decide who can be a member, which if you do a Calexit, you got to decide who gets to be a citizen of this California. How do you determine that? You decide that, but the DAO gives you a structure. Once you decide who's in, you can give them membership in the DAO, which would give them a vote. The DAOs enable voting and decision making, so you could use it as a voting structure. A DAO gives you a shared cryptocurrency wallet, so the DAO members could just vote on what to do with any money they raise. Just like, you can think of it as either a corporation, or you can think of it as a nation. Basically, you could create a parallel government for California using a DAO. And then the DAO would be in place as a decision-making government structure that you could eventually transition to if the people actually voted or decided to fully declare independence. But it could start operating instantly. We could create the DAO right now. It's a very new technology, but they're very easy to create now. So yeah, anyways, I'm not an expert in it. I'm making DAOs for some other projects, but if that's something anyone wanted to pursue to help organize,
yes,
then I'd be happy to help.
Yes, absolutely, 100%. How fast can we get one up and going, and what do you need from us?
They're easy to create. If you can create a test one, and it doesn't really even cost us anything, and it'll be fully functional, and we can sort of play around with it. When you build one, you have to make some decisions of what type of structure you want, whether you want perfect voting equality for every person, or whether you want to make weighted voting, give people more power than others. Really, I think what we'd end up doing is you'd create sort of a network of these DAOs. You might start with one for, I don't know, it depends on how you want to do it. I just like
corporation.
I like thinking about creating one that allows all people into it, and with an exactly equal vote, because I'm really into egalitarianism.
Sure.
But there's decisions to make. You might want to create some sort of leadership DAO that only has a few.
Sure, like a board of directors maybe, or like a. Yeah, absolutely. We should get on this right away, man. I'll get your info afterwards, I guess. When can we have this up and going?
It can be done easy. It's fast. It's just that you got to figure out how you want to use it. So I'm happy to have a talk and tell you what I know, or help you go through it, or help you set one up.
Okay, absolutely.
Matt, real quick, Matt, type your email in the chat, please.
Sure.
If you would. So everybody wants to get a hold of Matt, please type your email. By the way,
I actually have questions for everybody, man. I have questions for Darin, for Wildstar, for Felix, and for this guy, but everybody's gone. I know that, but oh well.
We got the contact info.
Yeah, I know.
2 more minutes, questions for Matt, and then we're going to go to Sean.
Matt Reddy at Gmail. That's easy enough.
What does DAO stand for, and how do you spell it? I didn't hear that.
It's a distributed autonomous organization. I'll type that in the chat too. And if you want to go look yourself, Aragon is the site that is a great way to create a DAO. Yeah, was there another question?
Aragon?
I'd like to ask Matt a question. It's really an interesting concept. First time I've heard it, actually. But I come up with a concern right away that how would you stop like infiltrators like that would want to sabotage such a thing? Do you have a process to eliminate? Because it would seem to me that it would be easy to come in and start to kind of put in chaos into that organization. Have you thought of that?
Oh yeah, I would start it like this. I would just allow trusted people in, and I would vent every single person and let it grow slowly. Because once you give them membership, then they'd have a vote. But I mean that could happen. Like a flood of people could take over a DAO, and then you'd have to basically be in the same situation. We'd have to decide how to change. I think it's manageable.
Okay, thanks.
Matt, have you heard of the Douglas Fir Society?
No.
That's our counterpart movement up there, just FYI.
Oh, yeah, I'm familiar with the Cascadia secession movement up here.
Yeah, we know them as well. Good people.
Yeah.
Matt, what do you think would be the reception if the idea that California seceded, Oregon seceded, and Washington seceded? Would there be interest in joining together?
Oh, I think so. I mean, I think either way the election goes, there either is going to be a major Texas secession movement if Trump loses, and that could start a chain reaction, or if he somehow wins. I mean, it's already been gamed out, the scenarios, if Trump somehow steals the election, that Oregon, Washington, California might threaten collectively to secede together.
And Hawaii.
Yeah. But I think we want to be ready to open it up to other states. We might have 30 states that want to like secede, anyways,
Well, but the problem is that most of the states directly to our east are pretty conservative.
Yeah. Yeah. I just think we need to be flexible for what possibilities might arise.
Well, I think there could be a separate secession for the liberal northeastern states.
Yeah.
We know who's on our side. We know which states we want and which states we don't, man.
I mean, the thing is, we don't have to hold the state borders. We could split a state, and allow half the state to join. I mean, everything is up for change,
Would Eastern Washington and Eastern Oregon be in favor of secession to join a West Coast nation?
I mean, Eastern Washington is more conservative, but I think if we have a huge secession crisis, it's gonna be your declaration of independence and what type of things you're gonna be offering with the new country is gonna have a huge sway on people. I mean, a lot of people, even if they're conservative, might like some of the things that we offer like universal health care, or maybe more equality in voting, less power for corporations. But yeah, Eastern Washington is way more conservative.
Feelings mutual over here.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's about all I've got. I'm happy to talk more. I'm working on it.
Marcus, you're on. We can't hear you, buddy.
Yeah, couldn't hear you, Marcus.
How about now? Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. We're going to go to Hal, with your permission. Can we go to Sean for about 5 minutes, and then I'll do a wrap up, Hal, and then we'll go to open chat where people can talk about whatever you want. Okay. Sean, please talk to us for about 5 minutes, sir.
All right, thank you for allowing me to have some time here. What I want to talk about is the True Crime documentary series that Darin had alluded to earlier, that I had, previously interviewed. Actually, 3 of the producers. Episode 55 was with Patrick Lavelle. And was one of the ones who was impacted by the 2008 financial crisis and lost his home, which was the catalyst that had him go and try to figure out what happened and what the mechanisms were. And then the other two that I just recently interviewed were, Eric Vaughn and Cindy Castro DeRusso, who Eric was the lead producer, Cindy was the associate producer and the casting director for this. The reason why I want to talk to you guys about this is that I'm not sure if you're aware of the suppression that's happening in the media as far as Facebook, the algorithms, which are definitely playing a part in the reach that people are being able to get in social media and throughout the alternative media space. And this is actually happening to them. You have Amazon, Hulu, Netflix, the main players that are tied to the money above and are the gatekeepers that are not allowing this to be, they don't want to have anything to do with the distribution of it because of the obvious reasons. It calls out corruption in Wall Street and the politicians and the corporate entities that pretty much run our government. So with that being said, the reason why I want to talk about it is I'd really love for you guys to take a look at it. Go to thecon.tv. I've got a link in the chat and check it out. The first episode is free. I was able to screen this. The publicist reached out to me and had me screen it. And I watched all 6 episodes back to back or 5 episodes back to back. I could not stop watching it. And then I was so moved that I watched it 2 more times. So it was 18 hours I spent watching this thing. And the second 2 runs were trying to see if I can find any inconsistencies in anything that they were talking about. And I could find none. If you saw the bit which it happened, all of the players, the whistleblowers, everything that all of the other things didn't cover is in this series. So I would implore you to take a look at it, share it, as well as anything. Right now we have to be sharing each other's stuff. If you're going to try to secede from whatever the plan is that's in place, you're going to need to be able to battle the media sources that are out there that are already winning the battle and have most of the people fooled into thinking what our reality is. And our reality is not really what it is. Everything's been inverted. So I would anything out there that's good, be an amplifier, share it. Share, help each other. We need to band together, do more of these type of events that you're doing right here. The more of them that pop up, the more people that start seeing these things are going to start getting involved, and they're going to start seeing that, oh, wow, maybe there is a shift. Maybe things are changing. That's it.
Did you put a link on the chat for the?
I did.
Yeah, I can't seem to find.
Oh, I see it. Thank you.
Okay, I'll look through it, through the chat. Sean, so I take it, you mentioned these are free. You can watch this on their TV website.
The first episode is free. The other 4 you can rent on video on demand, but it's well worth it. This gives the playbook of how they've done everything. And it's not only in the financial system or sector, it's in the judicial as well. It's almost like it's the same playbook for everything that you have to have a third party to tell you and make you understand something. You know what I mean? Like you need a lawyer to explain the law to you. You need whatever it is in the insurance. You need an adjusted insurance person to explain insurance to you. Like all of these things that are third parties that have to be explained is where the most fraud happens.
Hey, how long do you think it'll be until all our ISPs like shut this link down? Like we won't be able to get to it, or take a long time to load up? Because you know that's going to happen.
Yeah, I mean, so if you really want some alternative news sources and shows to check out, the Union of the Unwanted is one on YouTube, and it's a whole panel of alternative media sources like I don't know, Ben Swan, Charlie Macroaggressions, the guy from the Macroaggressions podcast, Charlie, I can't remember what his last name is, but just go to that, man, and it's just got a wealth of information, you know, from vaccine safety stuff to, you know, just all of the things that are being
setting up our own internet antennas. I mean, we're all dependent on Verizon or Sprint, all these companies that you're talking about for what we're doing right now, man. I mean,
there are alternatives like Brand New Tube, which is a YouTube version. A YouTube version that's not, you've got Parler that's like a Twitter second, you know what I mean? But at some point, they're gonna come for everything if we don't stop it.
Right.
And
I mean, what's the last thing that happens when power is grasping it at you know, retaining power? That's burning books and censorship.
I take it the con's not on Netflix or Amazon Prime. Okay.
Um,
That's why I'm trying to share this with you guys and have you share it out, because
it'll never be on net, and it'll never be dude, they took out I'm sorry, Marcus, is the time up or what? I know you're sticker on time.
Got 1 minute.
I know the guy Hassan Minaj with he had his own show on Netflix. It was telling everything about everybody. I don't know if you guys remember it. It's called God, I forgot what it was called, man. You guys seen that show on Netflix?
Patriot Act with Sean Minaj.
Canceled. Dropped after the highest views, the most biggest downloads, everything, but it got dropped because he shit on everybody, including Netflix. So
we're going to have to start going back to a grassroots way of doing things, which means I talked about this on the last episode that we had. That means, like, if you have the ability, like I do, I have a fifth wheel. It's 40 feet long. I can slap a wrap on that sucker and go all around the state, stop in every area and do my podcast remotely. You want to build a movement? Start with social media. Start with this people seeing something happening, right? Then they're going to get interested. Oh, what's this about? You know what I mean? I can't see a better way to do it.
Sean, can we get your email?
I'll throw it in the chat.
Please do.
Okay. Hal?
All right. At this point, we are at 2:13 in the afternoon, and I'd like to, if anyone has a 30-second final.
I'd like to go. I haven't been able to go. I just want to talk for 5 minutes, and then we'll end the whole thing.
All right. I guess we can.
I'm sorry. Okay.
All right.
I'll do the last
30 seconds.
I'll do the last 5 minutes, and then we're going to end the thing. It'll go to free chat. You are all invited to stay around. We're just not going to record it, and it's less moderated, but you can stay here and talk to each other. So I usually do the wrap up. I just want to say thank you for everybody for coming out. Again, these Calexit conferences are for you. They're not for us. No one owns the movement. If you're a Californian, if you live here, you don't live here, you believe in our values, you're in the movement. We saw people talk about water, retrofitting, new money, new cryptocurrency, and criminal justice reform. Whether or not you like or back those ideas, that's exactly the kind of revolutionary thinking people expect to see from us. Imagining a future California and how it would be different. I'm not personally sold on one or any of those ideas, but I'm glad that we get to see them. And I'm glad that we have the kind of forum that thinks radically out there. Spend a lot of time looking at the news. No one's thinking this radically far ahead. It's us. That should clue you in on what's up. Why is it that Calexit Group's the only one with the courage to look at long-running problems and propose radical changes to make them happen? Why is that? I read PPIC. I read, all the policy magazines. They aren't thinking this radically out there. They're scared to do so. But obviously our problems are big and will take big changes to make it happen. So whether or not the policy arms are actually there, it comes back to us. I find it very revealing and saying the truth when we're able to have criminal justice reform, water, money, another type of voting, another type of currency system, and they're all coming here. Why are people coming here? Why aren't they on PPIC? Why aren't they on CA Forward? Why aren't they on Mercury News? That should tell you a lot. We're the place where big ideas happen. We're the place where we're not scared to actually address the issues that affect California. And we're all the people that basically agreed secession is the only way out. Thank you for the guest contacts coming. I'd like to encourage everybody, reach out to other people. Sean didn't know about us a week and a half ago. Now he's here. And I think we're making good contacts with him. We also made contacts with townhall.com. Hal and Shankar did a show with them. That was great. They also Joe Payne did a show with the Wasatch Report, which is in the Midwest. So every time we reach out to new media, we get more people knowing about us. Reaching out to other groups is how we win. We're doing it, we're winning. Please keep it up. I need to make a couple announcements. Joe Payne asked me to make an announcement for everybody. Give me 1 second to grab that. Big news from Californians for American Liberation PAC, Citizens for American Liberation. Mark your calendars for election eve, November 2nd, for the inaugural West Coast Secession Summit 2020. Delegates from the California Independence Movement and Cascadia, along with special guests, and author of To Have or Have Not, Jared Chapman, and hosted by entertainer Jason Thompson. CalPAC is looking for fundraisers and volunteers. Call or text 805-500-6196. That's 805-500-6196. That's 805-500-6196. Major West Coast Secession Summit election night. Joe Payne has already got people from Oregon and Washington and Canada to be there. I will be there with Jason. Yes, California is going to be in show. Independent California is going to be in show. They got Cascadia going. And Sean, we'd love it if you show up, brother. The whole idea is to get this big. I'm going to already try to reach out to townhall.com and get them to go so that we'll have coverage across America for that big media event, election night, West Coast Summit. Joe's already got secessionists from the entire coast. That's huge. So go to CalPAC, talk to Joe, get on board, promote the hell out of that. He's already done a huge job with that. And his PAC's already registered, second registered PAC we have. Okay, thank you, Felix, for coming on. I need to make an announcement for AB 392. You saw the presentation by Governor Wildstar. I will repost the video just for you to know. AB 392 was the law proposed by the Black Lives Matter movement in 2018 and 2019. The California government ripped out the three major arms that actually did anything the day before they passed that legislation, then went on the radio and said it was a great day for justice. It was a travesty for justice, and they lied. I love California. I will stand up for our politicians. You know me, I routinely stand up for Newsom, but I ain't gonna lie. It was a travesty of justice. It was dead ass wrong, and it was horrible and disgusting, and they absolutely lied to everybody. AB 392, they tried to get it in 2018. Then the California legislature goes, oh, we ran out of time to address this. Oops, sorry, we wanted to. Oops, sorry, didn't get it in the calendar. Then the next year they go, oh, I guess we're gonna address it. And then they pulled out the three key parts right before they passed it. They're playing tricks and games. They don't want you to know about it. They don't want this justice reform. It was written in concert with BLM, and BLM pulled all their support out. Also, the families of the African Americans and Latinos who were gunned down pulled all the support out of it. That should tell you something. We may look at an initiative process to reinsert the original text to AB 392, but Governor Wildstar is correct. Look, I'm not asking you to back his campaign. I'm not asking you to be a libertarian. I'm asking you to open up your eyes and be woke. This is an issue. If we're really about making California better, we need to stand for things that are clearly injustice. You do not have to support this to be in Calexit, just like you don't have to support any policy to be in Calexit. All you have to do is believe that California is a nation. So You don't have to back this. You don't have to back this. Backing this is not a requirement. All you got to do is love our values. That being said, I think it's a good idea. I'm personally backing it. I'd encourage all of you to check out it. I made a video and we got the governor candidate to make a video, which is excellent. Also, so that you know, he's already got Stevante Clark endorsing this. If you don't know who Stevante Clark is, you're not really in a position to judge BLM. You should know who that name is and that we just got gigantic success by having Stevante Clark endorse this idea in a video with the governor. That's also in the chat. So we're on the road to success. I will point out that his 2 interviews with Stevante Clark were clipped and the audio accidentally went out both times, almost like someone didn't want it recorded. Weird how that could happen. Moving on. Yes, California has a commercial coming out. It was designed by John Simha. It's coming out very soon. Looks super awesome. It's the 2nd commercial. The first one was Poppies by Cal Liberation Movement, which is also an excellent commercial. So we're gonna have 2 commercials coming out, 2 professional commercials coming out. Poppies is coming out, and then we're gonna have the original 1836 flag with the bear pulling down the American flag and putting up the 1836 to 1846 flag. Hot. Never seen that before. That commercial's coming out. Jason Wright, General Von Schrader, has been getting a lot of publicity in the Armenian community for Calexit. Good work, him. Additionally, John Simha, and you do not have to back this idea at all. I'm just pointing out, John got on KGUA Indigenous Radio and on Indian Country Today. Those are the 2 biggest indigenous native networks. And they talked about how Calexit is talking about working with the indigenous. So that's a whole other flank being opened up. We also have an African-American man running for governor who's also talking about AB 392 and getting Stevante Clark on. That's a whole other wing opening up. Additionally, we have 2 commercials coming. And finally, it's going to be chaos over election season. That's why Yes California has dedicated $500 in Twitter advertising throughout election day. If you have a particular phrase you think we should all tweet, as Hannah and others have suggested, send ideas to me. We're looking for that magic sentence we can all be tweeting the day before election, the day of election, and the day after the election. Because I can promise you folks, chaos is coming. If you look at real clear politics and you look at battleground states, you'll see a huge discrepancy amongst 20 polls. Some of these polls are saying Biden's 8 points ahead. Some of these polls are saying, thank you, 2 minutes, blah, blah, blah. So battleground states are going to be huge. And, for Washington, Alistair Caithness is already doing cryptocurrency finance for Yes California. Please talk to him. And finally, I want to point out a personal triumph. Some of you have talked about how Yes California in the past said things and that didn't look good and maybe they had too many ties to a foreign government. Well, I'd like to point out the next foreign intelligence spy. Her name is Rachel Maddow. And recently she made a comment supporting the Iranian government and pushing propaganda for the Iranian government. I guess that means she's an Iranian spy. If you say anything a foreign government likes, you automatically must be a spy. That's what people said about Yes. So congratulations to Rachel Maddow. I'll send you all the information. She literally retweeted an Iranian talking point to the benefit of the Iranian government. So if it can happen to her, maybe it could happen to anybody. And we should be a little bit cautious before we accuse people of rumors. Hal, I'm done. Thank you, sir.
All right. We are at 2:24 in the afternoon. I'm going to go around for 30 seconds. If anyone has a 30 second sign off, I do. It's like I will go in order. Shankar, I'll let you go first.
All right, just really quick. So if anybody wants to listen to me be a complete asshole to a libertarian, listen to the Liberty Block radio episode. I think I heard it back. I thought I was kind of being I kind of bit brutal on him, but I was defending our home, guys. Okay, I was defending our home. Listen to it. That's how we have to be. I'm sorry. It sounds mean. It sounds like I was mean, but if we don't show any backbone, they're just going to walk all over us. Also, one more thing. There is the military initiative that we were talking about before. There's some changes on it. We're going with, after discussing it with Independent California Institute, we're going to go with the Navy, establishing a California Navy, the naval aspect of it, just because it's very advantageous on many fronts, as discussed. Now, Jason Wright is leading that committee with IC. I believe he's looking for one more person. I'm not sure yet, but just that initiative is being drawn up as well. And then, of course, now there's going to be a third initiative. I guess we have to start on it. I thought we had time on it, but I guess AB 395 needs to be written up as an initiative as well. So I will contact IC Institute and tell them to get in contact with Mr. Wildstar and to begin converting that or condensing it into a petition format. Because I'm sorry, bringing awareness, what does that mean exactly? Let's get the signatures. Even if we don't get the signatures, it's bringing awareness and growing the movement and getting Wildstar's name out there. And I think that's it. So you guys have a great rest of your Sunday and listen to that Liberty Block episode. Thanks.
All right, let's fire those points off quick. I'll go to Hannah next. Her hand's up.
Yep. This video will be 30 seconds long. I get to tell you all that I did not get the flags I ordered. I'm going to call them. They're only in Ontario, California, to say, hey, man, what happened to my flags? Did you get the order? Well, it's a disappointment. I'm pretty sure I'm okay. It's on $60-some. Yeah, and the other thing is I hope the first topic we discuss is this question of whether Canadian left-wing nationalism is a good model for what we're trying to create in California. That's it. 30 seconds.
Thank you. Thank you, Hannah.
Yeah.
Daniel?
MyCalPride.com.
Thank you, Anna.
MyCalPride.com, listeners.
Daniel?
Yeah,
you got the floor.
This is actually on behalf of Joe Payne. I believe you left out just one little thing, Marcus. Joe Payne is looking for donations. His donate page is functioning, and he really needs a donation. So if we can all chip in just a little to start, he would really appreciate that. So that's my 30 seconds.
Thank you, Daniel. Professor Williams, did you have something?
Are we in the open yet?
I'm on record. I'm taking 30-second finals.
Okay, well, I'll wait for the open.
Sean, how about you?
Yeah, I'd just like to say if anybody wants to connect to the show or check out what I'm doing, support the show through donations or Patreon, whatever it is you can afford. If you can't afford money, then you can always, listen, rate, review, subscribe. Those are all great ways. And to connect to it, go to https://linktr.ee/nowhere to go but up.
Thank you, Sean. Anybody else have a 30-second plug they want to do? Jason, you got the floor.
Yeah, so the military funding initiative is, as Shankar said, going to start with a naval focus, mainly because we have so much coastline. I am curious on Tulsi Gabbard's stationing here. Her stationing is actually in the direct oversight part that sees over the California State Defense and the national. So that being said, I'm going to look into that, and I would like to be able to be the one to reach out to her and try and sell her on this. With that being said, for governor candidate Wildstar, I'm up here in Marin County, and I have a few people that I think you might be interested in, so I will send you a private email at some point with some contacts.
Thank you, Jason. If anyone else with a final thought. Good. We are, Matt, always to you, my brother.
Well, my main point is that we are riding a wave of independence movement that stretches along the Pacific coast of North America. MIBC, for its part, is very aware of the Cascade and supportive of the Cascadian movement. And you look at that movement, and it does stretch across to the other BC, British Columbia. You look at, conservatives and all that sort of thing, which has a different meaning in the three jurisdictions in which we find ourselves. And for example, healthcare, the Canadians are the model for all of us, okay? They don't want to be Americans. The folks in Baja do not want to be Americans. They would not mind having a healthcare system like Canada, which theoretically they have, but it's like a lot of things that you have theoretically in the Mexican Republic. They want to actualize these theories, and the way they would do that is by joining with us, with a much larger economy than the Mexican mainland has, much larger economy than Russia. So you have all these huge potentials, in the Mexican system that go unrealized. This would be an actual realization. And again, including British Columbia means that you could inherit that part of the Canadian healthcare system. So, the words liberal, conservative may mean different things in different jurisdictions. But as far as the folks that want to, build the various parts of Pacifica, which, again, a poll showed that folks in Baja are very, very supportive of. We have a lot more in common than we have with the three jurisdictions in which we find ourselves.
Thank you, Matt. All right, I'm going to sign off on this conference and end the recording. I would like to keep the room open until 3 o'clock for open discussions. After this, I'd like to thank everybody for coming today and everybody for speaking. And I will take us out on this final thought. When you're speaking to the Trumpsters out there and the people who are naysaying California independence, always remember the immortal words of Eric Bogosian from Talk Radio. Sticks and stones can break our bones, but words do permanent damage.
Yeah.
And with that, I'd like to thank everybody for coming, and good afternoon.